This is different. This is different. Hello, hello, hello. It's the headphone. I mean, here's the deal. Wow, we are very unprepared for this. Coffee kicking in. Hello, hello, hello. You know what? These headphones are just not that great. Beats by Dre. You're not that great. You're not that great, and let's be honest. What are we doing, really? Hello? Can you hear me? I can hear me. Hello? Okay, so on the computer it's fine. Did we start? We're starting, but like it's just not that loud in my ears. I like it to be a little bit louder. That sounds like a song. I like it to be a little bit louder, louder. I like it to be a little bit louder, louder, louder. I don't know. Is that a song? Maybe. Bro, I don't even know much about music, you know? I mean, obviously you guys are aware. I'm learning the keyboard, but like, you know, I don't know how to write music or anything like that. But so that's why I said, "Hey, this kind of sounds like a song." I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong that I could be wrong about that not being a song. Okay? I got the coffee. It's kicking in. We're starting. We started. Did we start? Producer, did we start? We started. Okay, so we're here. Obviously, we started because I'm the one who starts the podcast. Like, I push start. I start the podcast. Like, I'm the one who I push record on my laptop. It's not like I have anybody helping me. Like, I push record. I plug in the microphone. I turn on the circle light or whatever it's called, ring light. I push record on the camera. And you don't see me walk in because I cut that part out. I do the editing. I do everything. I'm on my own. I'm literally on my own. Oh, wow. That's the first time I've giggled in a long time. What's up? So we started, and it's good to be doing something. It's good to be back. It's good to be back on the podcast. I came to my sister's. I'm in Orlando, so that's why we're in a different setting. Again, comedy is not resuming in LA, some places outside the country, but from what I understand, it's getting worse in LA and getting worse even here in Florida. You know, the U.S., we're arrogant people. So, again, I don't think anyone can really speak on COVID. We don't know what we're talking about. We're all just kind of learning as we go on. Since we started this new format for the podcast, a lot of you guys who are part of the Patreon, you know that we kind of we just wanted to be here for each other and stay in a positive mindset and keep trucking through. Is that how they say it? Keep trucking through. I kind of make up sayings. I kind of just be like, yeah, that's what we talk about. I don't even have a note card, so I'm just riffing this episode. I've had notes before, but you know, I kind of left those out. But the point is, I needed this. I needed to do this. It's been rough for me a little bit. I came home, man. I needed to be around my family. I can't believe I'm saying this again, but like it's just been. It was mentally and physically draining, and you know, I was worried about myself for a second. I mean, just to talk about some things that I think are messed up. I mean. You know, people say horrible things. You know, I'm going to make this about myself. It's just, you know, there's a lot of like mean things that are said or whatever. And there's really nothing you can do if you attack people. Like, I don't know if you guys are online. Sometimes you argue with people online or Facebook. You know, a lot of people you're seeing, like people share their thoughts politically or about COVID, whatever, on Facebook. And then, you know, we discussed this a couple weeks ago on the podcast because I was talking about my friend from back home, Ryan, and how I attacked him and I felt weird. And then we texted and everything was all right. And I think we have to remind each other that every day. We're in a time where nobody's ever lived this type of life before. Like, our parents haven't. We're the first generation, and I guess people in their 20s or my like nephew's age, they're going to grow up and this is already life, like being online and attacking people online. So they don't know what life is outside of it. My generation, we know what life was before the internet and with the internet. So we're experiencing things where people can share all of their thoughts whenever they want, and when you're hiding behind a screen, people get angry. They get really angry, and they can say whatever they want, and it's horrible things. And what I've noticed sometimes, I've engaged with some people, and even though I shouldn't, I've went into people and said, why don't you hear me out? And like, I've talked to people, and people advise me not to. They're like, no, what's the point? Just ignore them or block them. But surprisingly, when you reach them, they all of a sudden pull back and they go, I'm sorry. They all of a sudden are apologetic and realize that they didn't realize they were hurting someone. I think that's what happens a lot of the time with social media, is people will share their thoughts or whatever, even politically, and they don't. Nobody's ever really thinking about it or realizing what it's like from somebody else's perspective, and it's very hard. That's a very hard skill to have or do. I can't do it yet. I mean, people that can do that, that's something they've worked on. But like, you gotta put yourself in other people's shoes. You gotta understand that you don't always have all the facts. You don't know everything, and you can share an opinion, but you also have to tiptoe and be careful about what you say, because you could also be wrong. I mean, unless it's something 100% you're sure of, because it's about you, or it's about something that you're an expert in, a field that you're an expert in. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people sharing stuff about COVID online, it makes people angry. But it's like, how are you going to argue with somebody who's a nurse or a doctor who's in that field? Like, wouldn't you just give them the benefit of the doubt that they have a little bit more information than you, right? Why are we going to even argue about that? And with Black Lives Matter, wouldn't you give the benefit of the doubt that a black person knows a little bit more than your opinion? If you have the right to share your opinion. Don't get me wrong. I stressed this a lot on the previous episodes, but it's like, you can't think that you're right, and it's only right what you say or think. And I think attacking people online is horrible. And I'm guilty of it. I used to do it a lot. Like, I wouldn't do it maliciously, but like, I would like troll sometimes on like a Sports Center a post or something. Like, I would get like mad at ESPN or something posting on Instagram. They're posting just like a viral video, and I'm like, what is this? Like, ESPN, just stick to sports. Like, whatever. I'll troll it, or like or leave a mean comment. I've never actually attacked someone online and said, I wish you were dead, or like, you're a scumbag, you're a piece of shit. Like, I've never said horrible things to someone like that. The only time I've said horrible things are to my friends, and that's okay. I think you should be able to tell your best friends you're a fucking idiot. You should be able to talk shit to your friends and your family, because you love your friends and family. So when you say it hurts more, so it affects them more. So that's what you're trying to do when you say horrible things to your friends and family. You want to make them mad. So it should only matter when you say those things. And that sounds like a dickhead thing, but I argue with my sister sometimes. We argue and we say you're stupid or fat. We call each other stupid and fat, which it's going to be hard to call me fat because I am losing weight drastically. It's almost like I have cancer. Now, I don't know if what I just said is offensive to people. I don't know what the hell you're allowed to do these days. I'm scared. I'm scared of everything. If I offended anyone by saying a cancer thing, sorry about that. It's been in my family. I could say that part. Coffee's kicking in, guys. Coffee's kicking in, and I don't know if I make sense. I don't know if anything I've said has made sense, but I will say, in the last week, man, I can't believe I'm saying this again, because I was going through this mentality when my dog passed, but this has been way worse. I've felt physically and emotionally sick, but I can't stress how important it was to have so many of my peers and friends just reach out to me. I mean, comedians that I don't even talk to on the regular. Like, when you're working in the comedy scene, you go to clubs, you work, and you see people and you chat with them. You're like, hey, how are you? They're your like work friends, but like when you're home, you don't text, you don't call, you're not wishing them like really a happy birthday. You don't remember when their birthday is. So when you get texts or calls from people that you don't think you're that close to, that that goes so far. And I said this about when I put a post up about after my dog died, how important it was to have people reach out. Like, that really made it easier, and that kind of changed my life a little bit. Like, I saw one of my Facebook friends that I was in acting classes with. She was diagnosed with cancer, and I reached out to her. I went and visited her. I gave her, I baked her some cookies, and it's just like, I know doing that little thing, just that will do so much for her. And I know a lot of people are doing that for her, but it's like, I was never one of those people who would have done that before my dog passed. I was just like, I would put a heart comment on someone's video or something like that to make them feel better. But like, that's fine. But like, you could go a little bit more, and it wasn't that, like, it's nothing for me to do that. So, and I'm realizing that again right now. I mean, the overwhelming amount of particularly right now, when you're just sitting back and you kind of just have to swallow your pride and take blows and hear people say horrible things about you. So then when you have friends reach out to you, just those little things, like, just help so much, man. I can't even tell you how much that has helped. Man, it's fucked, but it's just like, it's so important to just always be there for friends. And obviously your family will always be there for you, and that's important, but just all those people who've reached out have really have helped me a lot. And here's the thing, man, it's been a fucking rough time these past 2 months, 3 months for me, and I know that other people are going through hard shit, but this is gonna make me stronger, and I'm gonna get through it, and nothing will ever stop me from achieving my goals. And I've been working out, and that's the only thing keeping me sane. I work out so hard. I try to keep my mind busy, and I try to lean on my friends and family right now, and it's just I can't imagine anyone. I would never want anyone to experience anything like this. And but again, it's so cliche to say this, but you gotta just stay positive. And there were a couple times where I couldn't. I got weak. And again, I've never been suicidal. I've never thought about suicide. And I'm thankful that I don't have that. That's a disease almost. I'm thankful I don't have that. But I know that if there were a lot of other friends and comedians of mine in my situation, I don't know if they could pull themselves out of such a dark place. So and I don't know if they are even in those dark places, but I know that I have to be aware of what people in my life are going through, and know that, and I have to reach out to them and be there for them moving forward. If they ever are going through anything, health-wise, career-wise, relationship-wise, breakups are tough. Breakups are one of the tougher things. Like, with everything I've experienced in the last few months, I would say there's a lot of similarities when I went through a really bad breakup. It's traumatizing. It really is. Breakups are traumatizing. Whether you've been dumped or whether you're even breaking up with someone. I've been on both ends. They're both really traumatizing. Like, they're things that you'll never forget. And and they change you for a little bit. Like I've explained in previous episodes, like, I went through a breakup before I moved to LA, but that kind of, made me, emotionally changed me at 23. Maybe it made me closed off a little bit more towards other women for a while, to being in a relationship. Maybe I was scared. Maybe, who knows? I was, that's 13, 14 years ago, but it definitely changed me. And, I remember in those times it was so dark, but like, looking back, I think about it, and it made me the person I am today, and it made me stronger. And right now I'm going through that right now. There's been some similarities, and I'm just like, I keep telling myself, well, it'll get better, and then it wasn't, and I was like, this is crazy. I've never been in such a dark place, and there were times where I got weak, but then, I had to pull through, and I have to do this. I have to continue to fight and believe in myself and come out a stronger person. And I know that this will change me. This is gonna change me. I've learned a lot about myself and who I am, and I'm going to come out a better person because of this. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what will happen for me 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. I don't know where my life will be, what I'll be doing, but I know I will be a better person. I know I'll be a stronger person, and I will be more in tune with my feelings and my friends' feelings. I will be a better friend. I will be a better uncle. I will be a better brother. I will be a better son. I will be a better friend. I will be a better dog owner one day. That is a dream, to have a dog again one day when I have a family. I think I would rather have a family first so that we can all share the love of a dog, and I'm not holding a dog by myself that's dying. Oh man. But you know, Jesus fucking Christ, the coffee's kicking in. It's just like cocaine. I've done that before. That's the only illegal thing I've ever done. Cocaine and mushrooms. And yeah, that's it. So if you want to get mad at me for that, and I haven't done that for years, but like I said, mushrooms, I'll probably always do that. I think it's spiritual, and I think it's kind of good to open up your mind like that. But I just wanted to kind of talk about that a little bit, and it's kind of like a thank you. And even strangers, you know, I understand that I have a little bit of a fan base, and even people I don't even know. Like, I want to be one of those people who, sorry, nose got a little runny, Corona, COVID. I want to be one of those people who, you know, reaches out to people I don't even know to make them feel better. You know what I mean? And again, I can't imagine, like, even if I thought someone was a horrible, awful person, I just wouldn't attack. I'm not that person. I wouldn't go after them online and go, you know what I mean? There's horrible stuff you see online all the time. And, you know, you're seeing stuff and you don't know all the information, but then you find eventually the truth comes out, and then you find out the information, and then you are like, I would never attack someone, because I'm starting to think, like, why? How does that make you feel? Like, that means you're angry and sad inside, and it's weird, man. Because I'd rather be the person who reaches out to a stranger in a tough time and says, you know, keep your head up, or I know what you're going through. And I had a lot of that in the past couple of weeks, and when I was going through my dog stuff. So, you know, I just want to be more aware of that as a person, and, you know, I can only share that with you to maybe help you guys realize that too. And I think most of you are, you know, from the people that listen to my podcasts or on my Patreon, I think you guys are all good people. You know, I've judged people too, man. Like, you know, people will like message you nonstop for over the years, and you don't respond, and you're like, is this person a little unstable? And then I'll all of a sudden sometimes respond. Like, there's been people who have hit me up on my Instagram like 50 times responding to stories over like 2 years. And I've always thought that was weird. I was like, wow, why do you keep responding to something that doesn't answer you? And then I one time maybe responded to them, and I saw how much it changed them, and maybe that they were just responding because they needed to do that, and they aren't a crazy person. You know what I mean? Like, I've looked at people online. I go, this person's crazy and unstable. Like, who would like, I would never message LeBron James every day, responding to his stories. I'd be like, oh, that's crazy. Not that he'll even see it. He's got 90 million followers, but like, or anyone I was a fan of. But then I realized that I've talked to some of these people who I thought were like crazy, and it's just like, they're not crazy. They're just kind of that. This is, everybody copes with what they're going through, and there's in so many different ways. There's no right way. There's no right way to deal with something that's traumatic in your life, or a breakup, or sad, or something you're excited about. There's just no rules, and you have to understand that everybody reacts to feelings differently, and that's what's unique about every single individual, and that's kind of what's beautiful about all of us is, you know, we all, you know, react. It's the way you react to things. We all do that differently, but you have to understand when you're sad or you're depressed, everybody has those feelings, and that's normal. You're supposed to go through those in life. You're supposed to get depressed. You're supposed to get sad. You're supposed to be angry. You're supposed to be happy. You're supposed to have all of those emotions. that's what makes you human. That's what makes us so different from any other species. Again, now here I'm going into a subject that I don't know much about. I don't know like if animals or other creatures have as many feelings as us. I mean, I'm aware that like dogs can get anxious, be sad, or happy, but like, you know what I mean? Like the way we react to things is what makes us the person we are. But you can also, learn and educate yourself and become better and manage the way you react to certain things. So that's interesting too. I hope this makes sense. But I mean, a lot of this I'm learning when I meditate. Like they'll tell you things about like this. Like I've noticed, I don't react to things anger. Like I don't get as angry as much anymore. Like I kind of just I slow it down and I hear what's happening and then I go, well, don't react yet. I think the best way is to never react right away. Always sleep on something. Always give it time and see the full picture. And that's kind of the problem we have right now in this world is people receive information and they react right away. And we're all guilty of it, but you don't really know what you're dealing with. And that's what we did with everything, COVID, the protests, and anything else that we're dealing with. People are retaining information and they're taking it and they're not analyzing it. They're not sitting down. They're just reacting. We're all reacting. So you got to kind of just become a better person and figure out how you want to react to every situation. Sometimes I'm wondering if I'm even making sense. So I'm here, and maybe I thought that Florida would have some more opportunities to maybe do some shows around here because they were a little bit more open, but now it seems like they're pulling back a little bit, and so does LA. I'm gonna continue to just work through this and hang out with I've never actually really got to spend a lot of time with my nephews when I'm not working, because every time I would come to Florida I would see my family. They would come to shows, but like I was kind of working, I was doing a show, and then Christmas had come and I spent like 4 days with them. But to really like come here and hang out and be an uncle and be here for them is eye-opening too. It's like, wow, I didn't even think about how how important it is to be part of their lives. And I always want to, but I'm not, I'm always probably going to live in LA, I think, but you never know. And just like what I've learned in the past couple days of being with them, like I've been playing video games with them. I've always been a video game guy, so like I started playing games that I normally wouldn't play, but like I learned how to play it with them, and it's just like, oh, that's like they'll remember this forever. Of like, and I'm creating a joyful moment for them. The other day, one of the older ones, he's 10 now. He came home from camp and he was upset about something. He was upset about one of the things. He was like, it was too competitive. He didn't like the way they were acting. He wasn't sure he wanted to go back. And something I wouldn't have done years ago, and this goes back to why I think I'm ready to be a father and ready to settle down, is he was upset and I was in the room talking to him with his dad, and I was like, it's okay to have those feelings. You don't have to be shy about expressing yourself. And that's what I was telling him. And he was like, okay. I was like, so if you don't want to do something, that's normal. Everybody feels like that. You shouldn't be ashamed to share those feelings. And you also have to realize, though, that maybe you just had one bad day at camp. And everybody has bad days. That's normal. People are going to have bad days. Nobody goes undefeated in life. And I was explaining that to him, and then as I was doing it, I was thinking about, wow, grown-ups, I don't really recall, like my mom and dad are very loving and they're great parents, but I never recall like my dad really sitting there and saying stuff like that to me. And again, I don't think I would have done that to my nephew through 2 years ago, but like saying that to him, I felt like it helped him a lot, like talking about feelings and letting him know that that's normal. Everybody has those type of feelings. Don't be ashamed of your feelings. Don't shy away from them. And just that moment we had was eye-opening to me, and I thought it was kind of beautiful. I was like, wow, I was actually proud of myself, and him for he's a smart little kid to like be able to like listen to, and be like, wow, okay. I was like, you're allowed to have a bad day. Don't feel ashamed about that. Don't feel bad about that. You're allowed to be sad. You're allowed to be angry. Those are all normal things that we've all had. I go, you ever hear your mom and dad argue? They have a bad day. You know what I mean? But we get through it. And then he went back the next day and he said he had so much fun. He had a good day at camp. So, I was like, did you have fun at camp? And he was like, yeah, oh yeah, I had a lot of fun. And I go, see? I go, that's a good day. Now I go, I don't know how long his camp goes on for, but I go, you could have another bad day at camp. Just be aware of that. Like, that's just how life is. Some days are going to be good, some days are bad. Hopefully you have a lot more good days in between the bad days. You know what I mean? And that's how you have to look at this. And although this is by far the hardest time of my life, I think that I've been fortunate to have 36 great years, with a couple bad weeks here and there. I still have my family. I still have most of my friends. And, the coffee is kicking in. Are Starbucks Americanos stronger than any other Americanos? I feel like maybe they're stronger in Florida. I mean, the humidity, the hummus out here is crazy. The humidity out here is unbelievable. It's way stronger than you would, I remember. Way different from LA where it's just a dry heat. But out here, when I've been working out, like I ran 2.5 miles the other day, I was drenched. Like in LA, I would have had to run 5 or 6 miles to be that soaked. So I wonder if I burn more calories here too. I don't know the science. So, hey, producer person, look up. Do you burn more calories? Which I'm gonna have someone who's gonna help me out, and they're not gonna have a gender or a race. They're just gonna be it. I'm gonna have an it. That's what it is. I'm gonna have an it that is gonna help me with my podcast when I get back, and they're gonna be someone who can like Google and pull up Google images and stuff to save for me to put on the YouTube links for the videos. So the it will be there for me, and that would be a great thing of be like, hey, do people burn more calories in Florida versus LA or Phoenix? You know what I mean? Like, because it feels like I am. And again, I had put up a story a couple weeks ago about like kind of how I felt like I was in a funk and I was sad, and I can't speak on depression or anything like that because I don't really have much of an experience with it. But when I am down, I just was talking about what I did to get through it. So anything I say isn't like, I don't know that it's right. But for me, moving around, physical activity, doing things, having something you're excited about keeps the mind positive, being a little bit more positive. Anytime in the past week I've experienced real lows, it's because I'm sitting in a bed or a chair and I'm just thinking. I'm in my head, thoughts, and I think that can be a little bit dangerous. People will be like, stay offline, get offline or something. Keep, regardless of what you're going through, you're reading stuff about what's going on in the world, maybe stay off. That's hard. That's very hard to do. I find that hard because I like to at least be aware of what's going on. But I haven't been able to do that. That one I think is very hard. It makes me realize that we as people are probably very addicted to social media and being online and being on our phones. But for me, it's being excited to do something, and I wasn't excited to do the podcast the past 2 weeks, obviously. And today, I haven't been in the best mood, but like today I was like, I got to be strong and I got to get through this. And what are we at right now? We are basically 30 minutes in almost. I feel a lot better just talking to nobody. I'm talking to a camera. That's so weird. How do you guys like the painting behind us? Who knows? Who knows how you guys feel? We don't know how you feel. I guess we'll find out in the comments. Hopefully it's all positive ones that I don't have to delete. So I don't know. That's how I feel right now about this situation in life and how I'm doing personally. I hope that you guys are doing fine. There's a bunch of books over here to my right, and I could probably pull them out and read some stuff about it, if I wanted to. But you never know. You never know. There is a I don't know. Right now I am just feeling a lot better, and I'm glad I did this, and you know, I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun stories because I want to fuck with my nephew so much, and I used to always do. Like, I mean, for those of you guys who've followed me for a while, like when I would come home for Christmas, I would mess with them, but I stopped more because now they're getting older. And they're 10 and 7, and like last time I was home, I the youngest nephew was walking with like a cup of water or something. We were out like near a pool and stuff, and I like slapped it out of his hand, which was bully, and he just started crying, and I felt bad. I felt bad because I didn't think he was gonna cry. I thought he was just gonna like laugh. You know what I mean? I was just being a punk, and I was like, I just traumatized him. But maybe I'm gonna make him a comedian. The youngest one seems like he could be a comedian, so maybe I'm training him. You gotta pick on them a little bit so they feel like, you know, every comedian was picked on at some point. The older one's more like a sweet, shy guy. Like he came in, and he came in my room the other day, and he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, he had come home from camp, I guess, and he was like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" And then he goes, "Oh, hold on, I have to go to the bathroom real quick. Is that okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, that was so cute. Like, I've never in my life, I feel like, even when I was a kid, asked. I mean, obviously at school, but like he was just like, "You're in your own house. You didn't have to ask permission to go to the bathroom." It's like, what are his military parents telling him to do? How are they treating him? Nah, he's just a very sweet kid. The younger one though is he's the devil. He's gonna be like me. He's gonna be a wild guy, and we're gonna, you know, teach him to be a comedian one day or something. I don't even know. Excuse me. So, that being said, here is. Oh yeah, I had wrote this. I want to work on being a better role model for my nephews. I think we went into that a little bit. I didn't have notes. I said I didn't have notes. I do have some, but you know. Da 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 da. Oh, right now with the keyboard, I'm learning how to play the Titanic theme song. I mean, is that not one of the most beautiful songs of all time? Let's talk about that movie. I know last week we talked about Forrest Gump. By the way, on the plane on the way home, I watched Forrest Gump, and I cried the whole time. I mean, you can't tell me that that's not one of the best movies of all time. Of all time. Of all time. Beautiful Mind, Forrest Gump. You know, depending on, like, I mean, the thing about favorite movies, I hate that question when, like, you're meeting, they're like, so what's your favorite movie? Fuck you. You can't ask that. There's so many different things. It's like, it's something like, what's your favorite movie and what's your favorite food are two of the dumbest questions ever. You can't just have an overall favorite movie. It's got to be broken down into like, okay, what's your favorite You have to. Because you have to. Because listen, nobody's favorite movie of all time, I would say, is a comedy. Nobody is like, my favorite movie of all time is The Mask. It's my favorite comedy. But you can't compare comedies to like a drama. You know what I mean? Like what those movies do to you emotionally, and what they do to your, like, most of my memories as a child of like movies that like moved me are not comedies. Like, I grew up watching like the Naked Guns and like and Jim Carrey movies, all of those. I watched all of his movies. I remember at one point I was like, I've seen every single Jim Carrey movie. I went back and saw movies where he wasn't even the lead. Like, I was just like, I found them and I was like, oh, let's watch this, where he was just kind of, even the first movies he booked. The point is, they influenced you, yes, but what moved me, Forrest Gump, when that came out, that's 94. That means I was 10. It moved me at 10. Like, those movies moved me. A Beautiful Mind, which I always bring up, and then like, what else? You know, I remember movies like all the Lethal Weapons, but that's different. I remember those being awesome and entertaining. All the Sylvester Stallone movies, all the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. Loved all of those. But they didn't move me. Like, I remember when I watched, I think Beautiful Mind came out when I was maybe in high school. I'm not positive. Can we check that? What was the year so I know? That's what it will do for us. When it is here, it will help. So when Beautiful Mind came out, I remember thinking about like, oh, I want to make something. I want to be involved in movies and TV and I want to make something that moves people. I want to affect people like that. Like the way that movie made me feel, I want to be able to do that to other people. So comedy never really made me feel that way. I hope, again, this makes sense. Like, comedy made me go, that looks so fun. Every time I watch a comedy movie and they do the outtakes, I was like, that looks so much fun. That's what I want to do. I want to get to a point where I'm just working with my friends and we're laughing the whole time. We just can't stop laughing. It's a fun time. So that's what comedy did for me. And then action movies were like, oh, that would be cool. I never was like, oh, I want to make an action movie. I always thought like that there's more technique. It's just like a lot of things that like don't go with like laughing and being funny. But like those dramas, man, I would be like, man, the way that made me feel, like I want to be able to do that to people. That's powerful. And I want to do that with comedy too, in a way. I want to do that with my stand-up. I also want to be silly, but like I try to like write more and get deeper. Like I know I'm not I'm not a highbrow comedian with like hitting all these social issues, because I had a good life and I can't really touch on it. I don't have experience, That's why Chappelle is the greatest. I mean, he first of all, he's older and he's lived a longer life and he has more experience, but like, I can't speak on stuff like that because I just don't have. I only have my experience, and I can only share my my point of view from what I've lived. So I want, I can connect with people for being relatable. I know that. I know I can be relatable because I know there's a lot of people who've lived a lot of similar situations that I have. And, people think comedy comes from trauma. And, I've talked about all the traumatic things in my life, like a breakup. And I know that I'll have a lot of material years from now that will look back on this, that I'll be able to find the funny in it. And, again, like I do talk about myself in my stand-up and my experiences. But again, it might not be that deep because everybody is really experienced breakups or, being broke and trying to hustle, or having roommates, complaining about my roommates all the time. And which is, I've realized I've complained about them less and less, which I think is because I'm improving as a person. I don't get bothered by so many of the things I was getting bothered. And if you guys remember a few weeks ago before I started all this, the 2190 thing, I was like, I'm scared to become a better person because I think it was funny to complain and get frustrated about things. But I find myself not complaining and get frustrated as much. And, maybe that will open me up to become a better comedian and think about deeper things. And, I don't know. I keep going around because I know we were talking about the movie thing and food thing. We'll get back to that. If I had they would remind me, hey, don't go off track. So the whole thing about the movies things, you can't just say what's your favorite movie. It's like, oh, well, okay, here, I have a favorite comedy and then I have a favorite drama. Like, at least break it up into those two. You know what I mean? Nobody's action movie is like, I mean, I guess some people are like, my favorite movie is Star Wars. I guess you have that. But I feel like you can't just put a blanket statement on, this is my favorite movie. And then the whole thing about food too, like, what's your favorite food? Like, fuck you. I like sushi, but I also like chicken parmesan. I also like orange chicken. I also like a breakfast burrito. So it's like, there's so many things. Like breakfast burritos for me are huge. But I also love chicken parmesan. I also love Chick-fil-A. So it's like, okay, so then if you break it down into like, okay, you're on death row and you get your last meal thing. I always tell people, I'm like, well, then I would have multiple different things. It would be like a buffet style. I'm a big buffet guy. And we did an episode before this format. It was called, it's earlier episodes before they were numbered. If you scroll down, it's called something buffets something. You know what? We don't need it for this. I'll just pull it up right here. I'm going to pull it up right here. Episodes. And I'm going to tell you which one it was. So you can go back and listen to it if you want. It was before I did the comedian episode. It's buffet play calling. I did this back in October. If you scroll down, it's one of the first episodes I did. And it's called Buffet Playing Calling. And I break down the way you are supposed to approach a buffet. And the thing about that is we don't even know if that's going to be a thing anymore. Like the way COVID in life is. Like, I mean, not anytime soon. Not anytime in this year. But I'm a big fan of different things in front of me when I'm eating. But, obviously you can't do that. Like, there's a great place near my house in L.A. I live in the Fairfax district. There's a place called Kofax. In L.A., they have the best breakfast burritos. So that's the thing. But that's the thing. If I'm dying and I have one meal left, I might do like a breakfast burrito with some Chick-fil-A waffle fries, okay, with Polynesian sauce. Always do Polynesian sauce, waffle fries, a breakfast burrito, and then, maybe just a nice chicken parmesan. No pasta, just a nice chicken parmesan, waffle fries, and a breakfast burrito. That's pancakes. And pancakes. How are you not going to have pancakes before you die? So there's all those things. And you might be like, that's a lot of food. Now, I don't have to eat all of them, but I would just have I would be like, all right, what do you want for your last meal? I want waffle fries from Chick-fil-A with the Polynesian sauce, a breakfast burrito from Kofax, cut in half. I want it cut in half diagonally, a stack of pancakes with syrup and butter, and, a chicken parmesan from like Dantana's or whatever your favorite Italian restaurant is. And then I would like pick at all of them and keep going. And I would go until I felt sick. And then I would be like, fry me up. Fry me up. Okay? Fry me up after that. But like, you can't just be like, last meal, I'm doing this. Get the fuck out of here. And also, sushi can't be your last meal. You can't have sushi as your last meal because sushi's fun. Sushi's a fun time, but it's not your favorite. It can't be your favorite. It's just rice with fish. Let's be honest. It can't. Sushi's like, yo, what do you want to do this weekend? Let's all go to a sushi restaurant and maybe take sake bombs and like have a good time. That's fine, but you can't have sushi involved with your last meal. It can't be. And I know that some of you are going to disagree with me, and that's fine. If you're going to disagree with me, I'm not. Listen, again, we started the episode like this. I can't argue. I'm not going to argue with you. I got to see it from your perspective. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing and I'm not understanding, so I'm not going to get mad and disagree with you. But I believe that if you're on your deathbed and you got one meal left, you cannot have sushi. That's ridiculous. Sushi? No. Breakfast burrito? Yes. What's in the breakfast burrito? Specifically, you want to go into what specifically? Well, egg, for sure. Cheese, bacon, egg, and cheese. Bacon, egg, and cheese. Now, when people have a breakfast burrito and they start adding more than one meat, you're getting too much. We're overwhelming. Some people want to put tater tots in there, or they want to put potatoes in there. Too much. Keep it simple. Bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast burrito with like maybe a sauce in there too, and then like a little hot sauce or something. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful time in your mouth. People are relaxing. They're on a honeymoon. When you're eating a breakfast burrito from Kofax, there's a good time. There's a wedding happening in your mouth. When you have a chicken parmesan, it's Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve in your mouth when you're eating a chicken parmesan from everywhere. Chicken parmesan is pretty on, always on. Like, it's pretty consistent. It's a Peyton Manning. It's gonna win every time. I've rarely ever, and I know people might disagree with this, and again, you're allowed to, but I know that most of the time, wherever you are, if you order a chicken parmesan, even from a place that's not Italian, it's gonna be good. Okay? Breakfast burrito, that's not the case. You could really mess up a breakfast burrito by trying to do too much. Chicken parmesan, it's 2 ingredients. You're doing a chicken breast that's beaten down flat, Parmesan cheese, the sauce. It's going to be fine. It might not be great sometimes, but most of the time you're like, that was satisfying. You're always going to be satisfied with a chicken parmesan, I believe. Okay? What was the other one? Pancakes. For the most part, you're always going to be satisfied. It's very hard to fuck up a pancake experience. I've never really been in a pancake experience where I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You ruined this. I've been that way with a breakfast burrito. I've never been that way with pancakes. And Chick-fil-A, I've never had Chick-fil-A and been disappointed. It's 100%. That's the most 100% thing ever. So that's why those things are all a part of my last meal. But you cannot have sushi in your last meal. That's ridiculous. Really? Come on. Sushi is part of the experience. Like, you go to eat sushi. You don't order sushi and have it. People Postmate sushi. I think that's fine, but that's not what I'm about. I'm not trying to fucking Postmates sushi. That's not, sushi is about the experience of going to a sushi restaurant, being there. Then when you enter a sushi restaurant, they're always like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, I don't know whatever they say. They're like, oh, welcome. You know, the way they welcome you. The cooks like all like bow and stuff. Like it's awesome. Like you go to sushi, chicken parmesan. If it's homemade, that's fine, but I think it's another thing that you can't really Postmate or bring to your house. I think you got to go experience chicken parmesan. Breakfast burrito all day. You could have that delivered. You could buy a breakfast burrito anywhere, bring it home. It's a to-go thing for sure, especially if you know the place is very good. Chick-fil-A, all day home, all day Postmate, all day to go. You can eat it there, but it's just like, I'll take it home. I think one of the more fun things about Chick-fil-A is getting it in the drive-thru and then eating the fries in the car. Is there anything better than eating fries in the car while you're driving? That's all I'm saying. So you got to think about these things. So I don't know what your last meals are, but I mean, if you want, we could have a whole episode about this kind of thing on my Patreon, and that's the patreon.com/thetakeover. Check it out. There's different tiers, and you know, I take attendance on there. We're just trying to build it to the 100. That's all I want my camp to be. 100 people that we're all just there for each other emotionally. And I got to say, a couple of them have messaged me, and that's why we've started that team. Because we're a team, and we're going to win a Super Bowl. So check that out, okay? Because it's a takeover, and we're going to take over. We're going to take over our lives. We're taking over our lives. And it's a sports show. By the way, this has always been a sports show. I don't know if you guys have known that. I've mentioned it before. This is a sports show, okay? And we're here to take over our own lives and become better people. And that's why we listen to this every week. And that's why everybody's got to leave a 5-star review, because we're here for each other, okay? And that's what we're going to do, and that's how we're going to better each other. And we got to tell each other that, hey, I got your back. I'm going to send you Michael Lenoci's podcast because it raises my spirits. So think about that. Wow. I wonder if people think I'm crazy. Probably. There's got to be some people who are like, did you just hear him ramble for the last 7 minutes about what his last meal would be? And fuck you sushi people, because I know there's a lot of you who are like, what do you mean, dude? Do you guys put wasabi in it? I wasn't a big wasabi guy at first. Like, I used to just eat sushi, and now, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself, but here's how I got introduced to sushi. First of all, I don't remember sushi growing up. I don't remember it being a thing until maybe high school. Okay, and then I never ate it. I was always scared of it until I got to college. I went to FSU, and FSU, there was this place kind of near Potbelly's, right down the street from like where the fraternity houses used to be. I wish I remember the street might have been College Street or something. There's a place called Jasmine's. And I think it's still there. And Jasmine's was this, if you're ever in Tallahassee, Jasmine's was this sushi place. And it was awesome because they had this sauce that was like a peanut butter flavored sauce. That's all I know how to explain it with. But everybody was addicted to it. And their sushi was kind of like, it wasn't like, it's not like a great sushi place that you'll see in like big cities like LA or something. It was like little small pieces. It was a beginner sushi place. As I learned later on, people would be like, that's a beginner sushi place, which there are places like that if you don't know. Like Sugarfish in LA is not a beginner sushi place. You get they have some dishes that are just raw meat without the rice. You're a pro. This Jasmine place in Tallahassee was a beginner place, and their sauce was so good, dude. I mean, dude, I would get like 2 rolls. I would always get a Philly roll, which is like salmon and cream cheese, and I would just dip it in this sauce. I would just soak it in the sauce, and it was so good. And then I would get like a shrimp tempura roll. I was very simple. You know what I mean? I didn't even get the spicy tuna rolls, which I dominate spicy tuna rolls now. That's what I'm getting. I'm getting a spicy tuna roll and then something else. I don't know. I'll pick. Maybe a shrimp tempura roll, but that's not really sushi. So this Jasmine place is what I was introduced to in sushi, and it was very popular, and everybody knows about it. I'm not positive it's still around, but like this was the place this was a good sushi restaurant that everybody knew about when I was in college at FSU from 2003 to 2008. And that's where I was introduced to sushi, and I became a fan of it. And then over the years, I started eating more sushi, and I got better at it. It's like anything else. You keep practicing, you can get better at eating sushi. So why did I start talking about the sushi thing? So with sushi, I always needed sauces. I almost forgot. If it was here, that's what it is going to do. We're going to have it on here, and it's going to make sure that I'm always on track, because I do wander off a little bit, but it will always make sure that I go back to what I was talking about. And this was like how I evolved in sushi, because I used to always need sauces to eat sushi. And then I used to never fuck with soy sauce. Like I was just like, nah, I don't like soy sauce. And then I started messing with soy sauce a little bit sometimes. And then I started to like it more. And then I started adding wasabi. Now, when the little dish comes out, I put the soy sauce in there, and then I take the chopsticks and I put the wasabi and I mix it around and make my own little formula. And I know everybody has their own formula, but I make it to where it's not too bad, because I like the feeling of the wasabi when it hits your tongue and it comes through your nose, and you're like, yep, that's sushi. That's not what you want to feel right before you die. That's all I'm saying. So that's why it's not a last meal thing. But I've evolved as a sushi eater, and I used to not even fuck with what's the stuff that you suck on? Some people eat it that comes next to the wasabi and the soy sauce. I don't know, but you know what I mean? Those are just some things that I've become better at. The wasabi thing. Have you accidentally ever taken too much wasabi? It's crazy. It's crazy how much that can ruin 5 minutes of your life. So, but I don't do wasabi by itself. It's got to be mixed with the soy sauce. So, and spicy tuna is the way I go. So, that's how I feel about sushi. So, and again, I know that not everybody's going to agree with it, but that's just how it's going to be. Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot this. Because I mentioned chicken parmesan. I'm not a big pasta guy, which people always get a little, they're like, what? I just feel like it's a waste of a meal. You're getting full off nothing. Essentially, you're getting full off nothing. I never liked spaghetti. It was too difficult to shove it all in my mouth. I don't like something. This is so funny. I'm going to bring this up too. There's another episode because I'm going to bring this up. It's called Spoons Over Forks. It's an earlier episode, but I've never liked spaghetti because it takes so much work to get the spaghetti into your mouth. A lot of it. To get a lot of spaghetti in your mouth, it would always take. You're spinning it. It takes too much work, and then it's hanging down. I never liked it, and that's why I have a previous episode where I used to talk about if I'm eating rice or chopped up chicken in a bowl, I like to use a spoon because I'm scooping it up and I'm shoveling it in my mouth. So that's the thing with pasta. I never liked spaghetti because I thought it was too hard to eat as quick as possible, and I'm a very fast eater. I like penne pasta or whatever the thick ones are called, but I'm not a big pasta guy because essentially it's just. I'm drowning it with Parmesan or Romano cheese and tomato sauce, and that's it. To me, it's like there's no meat. It's not as fun. So I'm always big into chicken marsala or chicken Parmesan. I'm not a big pasta guy, but I do like. I did fall in love with this later on in life. What's the gnocchi? Lenoci. Listen. People have said. Gnocchi Lenoci. I'm not making that up. There's been people who have confused me with gnocchi. People have been, hey, gnocchi. Am I even saying it right? You know what I mean? Knocci. Gnocchi. Is that how you spell it? I'm stupid. Gnocchi's really good. That's all I'm going to say. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. Am I pronouncing it right? The thing is, that's really good. Okay. If I am about to die and I have chicken Parmesan, I might do a side of that. Because it's so good. I don't even know. And people can make it. You can make that at home somehow. People have made it homemade pasta. And it's that's a lot of work. You might as well be a scientist. You might as well, if you have the time to make your own pasta like that, you might as well be a scientist. Because you have the work ethic to learn a lot of cool things. Well, this was a roller coaster of an episode, I feel like. It was. The coffee's really kicked in. I feel like I'm high on drugs right now. For those of you who have never done drugs, if you've never done cocaine, drink an Americano on an empty stomach. It's the same experience. You're just I got all these ideas. That's why I picked up. That's why all of a sudden I look down and we're an hour into the podcast is because oh shit, all these ideas came out. That's what drugs do. Haven't smoked. I haven't smoked in a bit. Which is better because here's the thing about smoking weed. I don't have a problem with it, but it is dangerous in the sense that it can make you it can drag you down a little bit, like make you a little bit lazy. I've never had that problem, but it would do this with me, and I don't I like weed sometimes, but like it will so it would make me insecure sometimes. Like it would make my thoughts. It would make me rethink things I've done, and then be like, is that all right? Was my conversation weird with that person? You know what I mean? Like that's the thing about weed, I will say, is it makes me doubt myself. So when I don't smoke for a long time, I feel mentally better. But I do sometimes like to smoke it and then maybe be playing video games or something. I feel like it goes well with video games because I don't know. Maybe that's from when I was in college. I would play so much Madden and always get high. But when I'm not around weed, I don't want it. But when I'm around people who have it and I know it's easy, I'll use it. Like my roommate likes to smoke, so I would just smoke with him. But I'm not going to go find it if I don't have it. I'm fine with never smoking or drinking. And, I don't think I'll ever really do anything. I don't drink a lot either, but I will probably do mushrooms again. Although, we did the mushroom episode when I was in Scottsdale with Zach. It just wasn't the same. But again, I was in a different state of mind. I think I was dealing with stuff. But, yeah. That being said, I hope that I helped you guys and anyone who's listening. And I can't stress enough how thankful I am to have the support of you guys and my friends and family. And I think the lesson this week is to just think about how much you can do for another individual in your life. Think about how much better you make their life. Like you really can, just from a phone call, a text, anything like that. It goes a long way. And don't forget about that. We can all inspire our friends and family and make people feel better. And that's important. It's important, especially in a time right now that's rough for a lot of people with what's going on. So I think, that's all I can really share for myself. And I, you got to understand, nobody, you don't know anyone anything. I don't know anyone anything. And you never know what someone's going through personally. So just kind of, spread positivity and love and be there for people. And that being said, thank you guys for listening, and keep on pushing. I'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much. Bye.